Hey guys, thanks for spending your quarantine time with us here at the Collector's Quest podcast. This is episode 142, and we're going to be talking about organic collectibles, where something naturally becomes a collectible over time, versus manufactured collectibles, where a company is like, we're going to make 1,000 of these, now it's a collectible. And I just spent 4 hours editing the show, and I'm so done with it, so let's just start. Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler, here with Johnny and Stefan. What's going on, guys? Again, like usual, this is the first time we started the show. We just jumped on Skype and hit record. This is it.
I don't think...
We definitely haven't... Well, I was going to say we haven't been recording for 15 minutes for sure.
I was just thinking about it, and I don't think... Like, we have re-recorded botched intros, and at first I was thinking, okay, this is like the record for the longest. But I think that one time where we were like... Were we all traveling and we came back and we were just, all three of us were just hot messes and couldn't think and it was just awful?
So there was an episode where I remember we were like a solid 20 minutes into the show and we were all just like, guys, this show is really bad and not entertaining. We just started the show over, and then it was really weird because we had to talk about all the things we just talked about over again. But I can confirm to our listeners that we didn't even get close to our topic, so none of that will be happening on this episode.
That's right.
Perfect. Yeah, we weren't anywhere by topics.
Yeah, we were just talking about coronavirus and not wearing pants. And I just want to say that because I like saying coronavirus so we get demonetized on YouTube. But we're not on YouTube and we don't get monetized, so it doesn't matter. I could say coronavirus as much as I want.
The one thing that we did that was nice in the previous thing was the bit Stefan opened up with when he was asking about your family. I thought we should re-include that. Like, so that's... People would like to hear that.
Just hear about how my family's doing. So Stefan and my mom are very close now since the wedding. They're best friends.
It's not untrue. I like your mom a lot.
I'm gonna tell her.
Your mom's great.
I'm gonna tell her that you asked how she is, and she's gonna feel like she's your best friend. You know, she's listening to the show, so she's just gonna get it off the show, and it's gonna be great. My parents are currently doing okay. Both of them do work in healthcare. My mom's a pharmacist, and my dad's the pharmaceutical director at a hospital. So my dad's hospital is 100% full of corona patients, and my mom deals with people physically tapping her on the shoulder dozens of times a day, asking for things like masks. And all the things they ask for are obviously out of stock in the retail pharmacy she works at. I mean, it seems inevitable that they will eventually get the virus unless something happens, but hopefully not, and they're doing good now, so...
At a director level, does your dad have to be at the hospital all the time? Like, is he able
he
to
does.
work from
He
home
has to go in, and then he comes home, and literally, I'm like FaceTiming with him. I'll have a 30-minute FaceTime, and he'll get like 3 phone calls from work on the FaceTime. It's seems like a nightmare right now if you're in a hospital.
It's not great, even on this side, because as you guys know, Carly is a nurse, and she's in the hospital, 4 times a week, and it's not the best. It's not the best right now.
Even the telehealth stuff. So my sister is a nurse practitioner and she is telehealth. So like all her patients, she works from home and she interfaces with patients from their home. The idea is that she triages them over the phone so that they don't go and take up hospital resources by like going into the ER for nothing, right? And she said that like she's so full up with coronavirus cases right now, or like people just fearing that they have the coronavirus, that she can't really treat anything else right now. So it's even for the nurses who do get to stay home, it's still a hot mess.
We talked about this before, how great England is before, but one of my favorite things that I learned is that they have 911, which is just like, oh my God, it's an emergency, someone's dying. And then they have like a separate number where you can just like talk through your symptoms and someone will tell you if you have to go to the doctor. I forgot the exact, it was like another 3-digit number, but that seems like another great thing to have in England that we don't have in the US.
Yeah, not nationalized anyway. I mean, I know like certain like insurance providers or hospitals
Like
have a
I'm
service
sure I
like
could
that.
do that with my insurance. I can go to the website, log
there's, like-
in, and figure out their number.
Yeah, because like I at the start of this, I did have a sore throat and shortness of breath, which was concerning. This is like a month ago now, and they did a phone call with me. It turns out I just had strep throat, so that was cool. Just strep throat. So I guess it's a good time to get into the topic. Like we said, we hope everyone's doing well. But Tyler, this is your show today, so tell us what we're talking about.
I'm going to say that this is a topic that I would link to viewers of Reserved Investments, of which there are 2 of on this show. So, Stefan, this is also your topic. The topic is we're talking about organic collectibility versus manufactured collectibility or manufactured scarcity. Because in terms of value, when you think of collectible things, we say all the time, if it says collector's edition on it, it's not a collectible, which is a broad statement. It's often true. It's not always true. There are some very cool collector's editions, but for the most part, subjectively, I will say the best collectibles are the ones that when they came out, no one thought they were going to be a collectible. And want to talk about maybe what you should target or why this is, or the different aspects of what makes an organic collectible better than manufactured scarce collectible. I mean, it should be obvious on the face, but we're going to still drag it out to a whole podcast.
Yeah, we sure are, because Tyler wants to.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Tyler, what are some, if we're going to talk about that organic versus manufactured, what is, I mean, tell us some of the key components, but what would you say is the number one key, like what that makes something organic versus manufactured?
Maybe the defining characteristic of an organic collectible might be that it went through the Trough of No Value. I'm not sure that's true, but that seems like that might be true. So to bring it up on the show, if you haven't heard it before, the Trough of No Value is just imagine a U shape for the price of an item. And the price is high when it's new because something's brand new. And then the price goes much lower once the item is older because now it's used. And then the price hits the bottom of the U when it's considered obsolete. It has really no value to anyone. And then the price stays at essentially 0 for a long time, and the item is trash. It has no value to anyone. Think, old Golden Age comic books, old NES games, packaging, things that people throw out.
Think of an iPhone 2, like right now, or an iPhone 3.
Sure. I honestly, with Apple, I have no idea.
Well, like the like old cell phone, any old.
How about
cell
a
phone,
Nintendo
right?
Wii game?
Sure.
Just to keep it on topic.
Well, you were the one who told me cell phones are considered games.
Yeah,
I might have bought something.
What was that?
We'll maybe talk about it later in the show.
Oh no, we will definitely talk about it. I have things to say. I have things to say to you.
So
none of them nice.
At some point after this thing is at essentially 0 value, it picks up in popularity for some reason. There's something that instigates popularity in the item again. And since everyone has thrown it out essentially over that period of time, there aren't many copies left, and all like logarithmically it shoots up in value because there are no copies left and all of a sudden there's a ton of demand. And so you could think of Little Samson or Stadium Events. Stadium Events kind of started out with a low population, but like Little Samson, there were a bunch of copies of Little Samson that kind of filtered out to wherever they filtered out, and then through YouTube primarily, it became this super popular uncommon game, and the value skyrocketed, as opposed to a Funko Pop where they're like, you could only get this at Comic-Con 2017, and right now maybe there's someone who still cares about Comic-Con 2017 Silver Spider-Man. I'm making that up. But, 2 decades from now, no one's going to care about the specific Comic-Con 2019 Funko Pop.
Most likely.
Right.
Unless it falls in...
Unless there's something about that one in particular, but...
Well, that's the thing about the Trough of No Value. You have to travel through the Trough of No Value and make it out the other side to be a collectible. Most things just go to the bottom and rest there.
Right. But also, conversely, a manufactured scarce collectible can also go through the Trough of No Value and come out the other side as a legitimate collectible, right? Like,
Yes.
like let's say, the speculation era comic books, right? This is a really easy example for me. If let's say that the Death of Superman, it was at one point and very shortly after its initial print run was like a 200, started at like 200, and then like the Platinum Death got to like into the thousands. It was ridiculous. And now that book lines dollar bins, right? But if at some point there's a resurgence in nostalgia or whatever for that issue, or if they make a movie or something revolving around that comic book arc, it is possible that should that comic book then shoot back up in value, then you have something that was manufactured to be scarce that is now an organic collectible, which I think is an interesting phenomenon.
I feel like that would be an organic collectible that went through the Trough of No Value, but it can't be manufactured scarcity because they made like hundreds of thousands, probably millions of Death of Superman books, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
true.
the better is like Tyler said. If you're talking about like Comic-Con limited edition items,
Right.
like I have, for instance, a Comic-Con Gentle Giant Luke Skywalker with a Stormtrooper outfit bust or something, some mini bust. Because I was at Comic-Con, like how I used to fund my Comic-Con trip back in the day, 2010-ish. I would buy collectibles that I didn't necessarily care about, but people wanted them, and I had the opportunity to buy them, and then I would sell them, right? Get some of the stuff I wanted, and then sell the stuff I didn't. And this Luke bust never sold, and it never will. Because it was like $35, and it's just going to sit there at $35 forever.
Or it is possible that, as much as we give boutique game manufacturers like Limited Run a hard time, it is possible that some of those manufactured collectibles on some timeline would then become an organic collectible should they, sit in the Trough of No Value for a while and then organically increase in value.
Yeah, and to drive, that's the other thing. There needs to be a driver there. Something needs to drive it out of the bottom of the U, right? There needs to be some sort of impetus, which is a force of collectors' desire. So the supply, has to have dipped down, and then suddenly the demand needs to be spiking. Something needs to be driving that demand. With Nintendo games, it was nostalgia, right? Like it is for most collectibles, some sort of nostalgia. The people of my age, especially for like Ness and a little bit older than me, suddenly were in the workforce, secure, and had disposable income. And then that was driving demand for all these things that had just sat there for a while, which then, same for Atari, but Nintendo, because it was such a wide swath of those people, not in the same way that Atari did, it kind of generated video games as a collectible, because that force of individuals who had nostalgia for Nintendo was finally there with enough to put enough impact into the hobby to make it a hobby and to drive it out of that trough and into the land of value. Not every game, but most. And now it's seen as a real collectible. Anyways,
what's also interesting. Sorry, what's also interesting is to me is when something and the example here I'm giving is more organic than manufactured, but how that driver out of the U can sometimes be so temporary that it just drops back in with certain immediacy. Like I'm thinking of Adventure for the 2600. When Ready Player One, the movie, came out, and because it was absolutely no value for a long, long time after having, I'm sure when in the collecting heyday of Atari, Adventure was probably a not $0 game or a $5 game, but having been essentially worthless for a long time, all of a sudden overnight was like a $200 to $400 game, and that stayed there for like 3 weeks, and then kind of settled back down, but.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can talk about the Alamogordo games.
Yep.
Right?
The what games?
The trash bin games, the like E.T., everything that was buried in New Mexico in a dump.
What did you call them?
Alamogordo. It's the city in which they were buried.
See, people who listen to the show who aren't on the West Coast probably aren't going to know that. You guys might live down the road from there because I know California is a small place, but please just specify.
You mean
Down the road from New Mexico?
New Mexico, whatever.
New Mexico, which
It's all
borders
the same
Texas
thing.
and not California.
Los Angeles and all those names that sound kind of Spanish. It's all, you guys know where all those places are.
Whoa.
Wow. All right. We're starting this podcast over again.
Wow. Who knew that we'd be invaded
Damn
by
it,
racism from Tyler?
Oh
I
my
did
God.
not see that coming.
Yeah, wow.
You know, Johnny, I'm from New York. We pride ourselves on being very tolerant.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we need to have one of those shows where we get the opportunity to take things back that we've said, and that's definitely flagged for that episode.
Yeah. Tyler, it's your apology episode. You
That's
have
right.
to say sorry.
There are a lot of places in the Southwest with Spanish names. That is, that's a fact.
I wonder why. Did you think maybe it's because we border a giant country
And
named
you guys
Mexico and
are, you know, geographically where those places are because that's where you live. We have listeners in like Norway. They don't know the dump where the ET games were buried by name.
No,
There's a Netflix
was in the Yeah, there's a documentary that talks about this and says specifically.
Yes, the
where
Angry
they
Video
were.
Game Nerd movie.
No, no, Tyler.
Although, yes,
Right.
that does also talk about it. But no, there is an additional documentary about the excavation of that landfill.
You have not watched this documentary and
I
call yourself a
I have not
You
watched
know,
game
it.
collector?
Get out.
I watched NES Quest. I don't want to get too far off topic.
Oh,
NES
God.
Quest is, or a Nintendo Quest is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Terrible. Just an abomination.
Also, if you buy one of those games, if you buy it from, because the city actually sold a bunch of those, they took a number of them and kept them for a local museum. If you go to Alamogordo, they have a community museum where there's just a giant pile of these games under glass. But then they did sell a bunch, and so usually the ones you find on the market now, unless someone was there and like pulled one from the heap, then it comes with a certificate that says Alamogordo on it. It's like a certificate from the city. So it's actually.
I was just thinking.
I know
like,
this
of
'cause I
course
have
you know
one.
it because Johnny knew the name of the place, and you have Defender, I think, with a certificate that says it
I do.
on it.
Yep.
Trough of No Value, a game that was buried, and now I think they go for over $100 usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Literal trash.
well
now
over
collectible.
$100. And it's funny too because people are like, well, because I have it in like a shadow box where the front flap opens, and so they'll go, well, how do you know it was really in the trash dump? And I just open the box. I'm like, here, smell it. It is vile. It is absolutely vile.
All right. Well, that's what I would have imagined, and part of the reason I never want to own one.
Nice.
But it's history.
Anyway, we were talking about limited run games and how people might care about those one day and they might spike. I feel like that's a different thing if there's a surge in demand on something that everyone was holding on to from day one and kind of hoping that would happen. I feel like it's hard to be an entirely organic collectible if everyone who bought it on day one thinks it's going to be a collectible. Even if it increases in value, which could totally happen. Like Breath of the Wild Master's Edition, that was like $150, I think. And like from day one, it was selling for $300, and it's still selling for $300.
It was sold out instantly, and this is the one with the statue.
Yeah.
What's that?
Huge,
What's that
huge
ridiculous?
black box.
There's that ridiculous big Wii U one. That I think is it like a Dynasty Warriors game or like the
Hyrule Warriors?
No, you're
that was a
Hyrule-
Nintendo
no,
store
that-
exclusive.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's not very big. We're talking this one, the special edition for Breath of the Wild, or the collector's edition, whichever it's called. It's a giant black box because there's 3 editions. There's the regular Breath of the Wild. There's the one that came with the case for the Switch. And then there's the one that came with the giant statue. And it's a giant ass box. It's like 18 inches tall and like 9 inches wide or something. It's gigantic. It's ridiculous.
So Tyler, in your opinion, then you're saying that if something was at one point or originally manufactured for scarcity, that it cannot become an organic collectible? Calling you out.
I don't think so, because if everyone was holding on to it from day one, hoping for that, then from day one, people were thinking of it as a collectible. So I think that's a different thing. Same thing with limited run games. Like some of them, might turn out like, oh, this has 2,000 copies, And, 20 years from now, it becomes a huge franchise or something, and these were the only copies of the original game that were produced. I doubt that's going to happen with probably any limited run game, but if that did happen, there would still be 2,000 people. Every single person who bought that game held onto it, knows where it is. Most of them probably kept it sealed. It's a very different thing that happened than a game going through the Trough of No Value. Everyone kind of stopped caring about it. Copies were lost to time. Copies were thrown out, lost in garage sales and things like that.
Right. It's like Street Fighter, the stupid, set your house on fire Street Fighter edition that they made.
100%. That's the worst case, because not only was it a manufactured scarcity collectible, they manufactured way too many of them. Like, what was it, 7,500 for Street Fighter?
No, I think it was only 5,000 for Street Fighter or something. It was lower than like the Mega Man.
Yeah, Mega Man X was ridiculous. It was I think it was 8,000 for that game.
The thing about that's like, and this is like one of the points I wanted to make on the show, is when something is manufactured like this, and why games, and this in general for collecting, why when an economy or a recession hits, why some of these, it's like a problem with the industry. Some of these people will never let it go because they've got it in their idea, because this idea of the manufactured collectibility of it, that it is a collectible, they attach themselves to that idea. So even in the face of numbers and economic pressure, they cannot get the idea out of their brain that it's collectible and it should sell for more. So that's why you'll see games that are like, well, I'll just wait it out. It'll sit there and still at like $150, though no one has ever paid that price and no one is ever paying that price. And you'll see like the Mega Mans, like I can still buy them at the store. Why would I go and give you more money than I could just give them right now? These people, in the face of everything, but it's also what kind of, it's a double-edged sword, because in like right now, we can talk about this a little more. We'll do when we do our market segment, but games have not dropped maybe as much as you think they would, collectibles, because people, and same when the housing crisis happened in that recession, people like, these are collectible. I don't want to sell them for this low. So it's only people who were really forced into that crunch sold. And so it lowered the value a little bit, but it didn't totally tank the prices, because people have done the wrong thing. Like they've emotionally invested there and they can't see that the value has actually been lost.
Right.
So that's kind of good in some respects for game collecting, but it keeps games sometimes artificially high, because that mindset locks in. I felt like that was a pretty convoluted statement. Hope you guys all followed along and took something from that. Sorry.
Can I anecdotally add another thing that I've just been wanting to talk about, and I feel like this is the best time that I'm going to get to talk about it. The Lion King situation. With I Am 8-Bit.
Oh, so gross.
Yeah. So the Lion King game, I Am 8-Bit did a physical run of, it's Super Nintendo, right? They did a Super Nintendo cartridge?
Super Nintendo Lion King and then Genesis Aladdin, I think.
Right. So if you go to I Am 8-Bit's website, that game is sold out. You cannot buy the Lion King.
They did it. They sold out?
Yeah. Yep. They sure did. They sure did. And
that
tell Johnny.
That ugly-ass copy?
But magically, Johnny, if you go to Best Buy's website, they have plenty.
Weird.
What is with Best Buy buying these limited print game things and selling them themselves? What is Best Buy doing? Like
Doug or whatever from Limited Run Games called them up because they work with I Am 8-Bit sometimes. Like,
oh, that's why, because they work together.
Yeah. I 100% think that's exactly what happened. They had a glut of stock that they couldn't sell through, and they offered it to Best Buy at probably pennies on the dollar.
And that's the thing, right? So Best Buy don't give a right? When that sits for too long, you'll see them start to slash prices. And so if you wanted that thing, I'm waiting for the Mega Mans to finally get there and them to be like, nope, cut the prices, get them out of here.
Yeah, they probably already paid I Am 8-Bit virtually nothing, for them.
Right.
So this makes so much sense, because I Am 8-Bit doesn't want to put their limited edition collectibles on sale, because that's obviously a terrible look for anything they would ever sell in the future. Right. And they obviously want it to say sold out, so it gives people fear of missing out, that they're gonna, you're never gonna be able to complete your I Am 8-Bit reissue collection.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the one who sent you the picture of that, Stefan, when they were at that. Put it in the chat. Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go.
It's been bothering
this
me.
This is dirty.
And this is kind of a good fit for this conversation. So I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely manufactured scarcity, and it's taking that scarcity to another level, right? So, because now they're manufacturing the idea that it's scarce. They already tried to tell you, and now they're like going to other levels to be like, look, see, it's sold out. Like they're in for the long con here.
Yeah, it's I don't want to be like, hey, they're lying to you, but kinda.
This is actually pretty common with other kinds of even video game collectibles just alone, because what was the Metal Storm? I forgot. Did IMAPA put that out? It was Castlemania games. I know it was like all over the place. It was at like limited run games. So everyone said like, we have 1,000 limited editions, but you add them all up, it was like 4,000 limited editions. And if you could do the same thing with limited run games, you sort their list of games by which ones have the lowest print runs. It'll be like, oh, there's only 2,000 copies of this game, but then there were another 1,500 limited editions, and the limited edition is just a bigger box around the other edition that has only 2,000 copies. So they're trying to make their print runs seem smaller than they are by splitting them up into different SKUs.
Right. And it's nonsense.
It is.
I hate those special editions, especially when they put just the regular Switch case in there and there's like, yep, there it is. And still has the SKU on and everything. It doesn't even say like not for resale on it. Yep. I wish they would actually do that so there was some differentiation.
An insert art variant, right? How special would an insert art variant be? Like, oh yeah, I've got the cool version.
One of the things that's like the worst about that is between versions, the boxes are sometimes the same too, like between the Vita version and like the PlayStation version and the Switch version. So you could just get like, if you found it cheap, you could then one day slot it in, because a lot of times the Switch version will sell out, but then they'll like have the PlayStation version. So you can totally manipulate that. It's nonsense.
Limited run games does that all the time. They just put a sticker on. Yeah, yep. I hate that.
So one thing I want to talk about different SKUs, and this is pertaining to limited run in particular. I know I feel like I'm picking on them, but so be it. One thing that I just wanted, a lot of people don't know, and this isn't something that the Hide, they've talked about it before, but it's just not widely known, and I wanted to point it out, that the way that limited run sets up their contracts with their developers and their publishers is that after that first run, they are not allowed to do an identical second run, but the developers are well within their rights to manufacture another run as long as they do a cover variant. So I know a lot of people are the publisher or developer, depending on who limited run is working with, is contractually within their rights to create additional runs as long as they do a cover variant. So that's just something to know, that when people have it in their heads that like, oh, limited run did this game and now I'll never have it physically, know that they could very well see subsequent runs, and not only have developers done that previously, but limited run is now doing it. They just did a second print run of Psychonauts. They teamed up with another boutique game company. Johnny, help me out here.
I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the same people who did
Strictly Limited
Firewatch.
Or something. Yeah.
Or wait, maybe it was Strictly Limited. Yeah.
So anyways, so then they teamed up with another publisher, boutique publisher, to print another print run of a game that they originally printed. So I just wanted it to be known. Again, this isn't something that they hide. Like, you can, if you listen to like interviews with the limited run guys, they do occasionally talk about it. But I just didn't. A lot of people who collect limited run have this like FOMO that they'll never see this game again, and that's not always true.
Well, FOMO is their business model,
right?
And they get around, they don't get around it, but they justify it by saying, well, only the limited run version says limited run on it. And it's like, well, isn't the whole reason that limited run is supposed to be special that it's the only printing of this game? So what do I care that it has your logo on it if it's not actually meaning anything? But I'm kind of getting off track, but I mean, their whole business model doesn't make any sense anymore, since literally everything is a pre-order anyway. They're just a game publisher that does low numbers.
Yeah, they're bullshit for many reasons. Like their whole their whole beginning spiel, which I was on board with, is like, we're going to preserve games that got digital releases and never saw physical releases.
Yep.
Now they're just a repro company doing,
Not
well, no, it is when you make a new Star Wars game that already exists, it's just a repro of that, right? Like all those Star Wars games are just repros?
I would call them reissues, but there's no accepted terminology, I don't think.
Yeah. So whatever, reissue, reproduction. It's still just a bad edition of a game that's already there. It's not even like they put it out on the Switch or something. They're just like, oh, you want Rebel Assault? Here you go. Play Rebel Assault on your PC.
Yeah, here's just a disc we burned.
You're like, but I already have that.
But you get a tchotchke box with it.
Yeah, but now you have our version of it.
Tyler, just to be clear, your distinction between reissue and reproduction is just the legal ability to reproduce it, right?
A reissue is like a new edition of a book. Like it'll have a different cover. But it's the same book. A reproduction, I would say, is a nearly identical copy of the same book. So like, someone has the first Bible ever. I don't even know if that's a thing, and if you made an exact copy of it, I would call that a reproduction.
So, question for you then. So, like, is the greatest hits version? That's a reissue to you, right?
I don't care. I would just call it a variant personally.
And we're not even arguing.
No, I know. I would just call that a variant. I wouldn't even think of it in terms of being issue. But I would call. Yeah, I guess that would be a reissue.
You are the one. You are the one that did a podcast solely on this topic. But
I did it on aftermarket games, and greatest hits would come out in the lifespan of the console.
So, but I just wanted to make that point, right? Like, so, like a greatest hits is not desired because it's not the first one, but somehow limited run comes and does the third printing of it essentially, and now people are hot and bothered for it. That should be the worst one to get.
So this is kind of the core. We talk about it. This is the core of what I want to get from this episode is that we have limited money, and a lot of times these companies will make these editions. And besides the fact that they're charging a premium for this new product, in many cases, I think Street Fighter 2 is the perfect example because they were selling Street Fighter 2 for $100 for the fake collectible, essentially. And at the time they were selling it, a sealed copy of Street Fighter 2 on SNES sold for $100. Yet there were still, 5,000 people that chose to buy the fake copy. And I guarantee there are a lot of sealed copies of Street Fighter 2. There probably aren't 5,000 copies of Street Fighter 2. A bona fide real collectible that people could have just easily gone out and bought for $100. Because if 1,000 people or 5,000 people went and bought that, it would probably shoot up way in price. So with your limited money, instead of buying, 3 or 4 limited run games and, maybe spending $300 on that, you could buy one bona fide real collectible that has already stood the test of time for the stuff that we're interested in. It's probably been, decades maybe that it's been a desirable collectible game. And I think not just monetarily, but in terms of your collection, you will turn out better every time if you just buy real collectibles with your money instead of stuff like this.
Hey, since we're back on Street Fighter 2, can we talk about chase carts? Because I hate them, and especially I hate how they executed them for the IM8-bit product. So chase carts, just like blind box action figures and toys like that, it's a super ultra limited version of a thing, and you don't know until you open it whether or not you got that chase cart. So in Street Fighter's case, it's a green, quote unquote, Blanca colored cartridge that glows in the dark.
It's not Blanca colored. It's ugly.
Yes, it is indeed ugly. But so the thing is, like, that's bad enough. Like, that's okay. That's kind of shitty that you're like, talk about multiple layers of manufactured scarcity. But then the way that you tell whether or not you have a chase cart in this instance, you have to unseal the collectible and open the box. So in order to see whether or not you have the quote unquote higher value product, you have to take the product and make it a lower value, right? Because honestly, how many people were, if there were not a chase cart, how many people were buying this product to open it? I would wager the number would be very close to zero, especially since they'll light your house on fire.
Well, and because if you wanted a player's copy of Street Fighter, it was like $15.
Right.
If you wanted
just go buy
a cart.
fucking Street Fighter.
Right. No, I talked about this. I forget when. I think when it first came out, how much I fucking hate these, especially because they put them in a gatefold box. And if you're gonna put it in a gatefold box, then let me see what the is behind.
Why is there not a
gatefold.
window? Yeah. Why is there not a window?
A small window, even just a slit, something, so you know which version you got.
They could have windowed the box and put a sticker seal on it so that you freely open the flap out of the shipping box and saw which cartridge you got.
Okay. Also, hear me out here. First of all, I've already been on the other side of this argument from you. I think any of these companies should be trying to give you reasons to open your box and not keep it sealed, but pretending they're not going to do that. How about this? Don't seal games that have blind box carts in them. Just let people open the box. There's no reason for it to be sealed. You're shipping it from your warehouse. It's not like it's going to be on a store shelf and someone's going to pop out the cartridge or something. Just send it unsealed.
The shipping box in this instance could be considered the like quote unquote sealed box that you are then opening to see the surprise element. You could not seal the box and with a shipping box still get the same experience of the like birthday surprise, right? So why not do that?
I know these companies are never going to do that because they're targeting the people who think like, oh, if I keep it sealed, it's going to be worth something one day. But in terms of like giving me enjoyment, like I know Metal Storm is never going to be worth anything. So I have no problem opening that. But I know there are people who would be like, oh, I feel bad opening. I feel like I'm destroying value. It's like, no, you bought this to enjoy it. Just open it up, look at that action figure and be like, oh, okay, that's a cool action figure. So I know this is beyond the point of organic collectibility. Stop sealing stupid limited print items like this.
Also, are you then saying stop buying limited print run games to not open them? Because you say that, you know, people bought Metal Storm to open it, and I would hazard to guess that there is a significant percentage of people who did not buy it for that reason.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wouldn't open something like that. I would say don't buy limited run games to not open them. I would say instead of your next 4 limited run games, add up that amount of money, find a $300 real collectible game and buy that instead. Because for every, 10 hype trains you're trying to jump on with limited run games, I guarantee if you just bought one game that's already like a top tier collectible, you'll come out better when you already have the top tier collectible rather than hoping some PS4 or Switch game 30 years in the future is going to be seen as some kind of cool thing to have.
Absolutely. So should we do the math on that? Or have you done the math on it already?
I've not done the math on it. What math is there to do?
Wait. Johnny will always find the math, Tyler.
I've done math on one thing. I went to eBay and I searched for limited run games and I sorted by highest price because I wanted to see what the most expensive game was. And there's not like limited. It's only been, how long has the company been in business? 5 years. But I mean, there's nothing selling for like thousands of dollars that has turned into like this crazy cool collectible. It's all mostly stuff hovering about what it originally sold for.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, there's a few exceptions, but
yeah, I think the most expensive limited run games right now are actually the ones that you could consider organic collectibles, and that's like the first 1 or 2 games that they did.
The most expensive one was Jack and Daxter, their limited edition one that looks like a book. It was selling for like $300 or $400. Well, maybe it's just because I didn't. There wasn't one actually for sale of whatever one you're talking about.
Yeah, so they did. So I don't know how much you know about the backstory of Limited Run, but they were like a regular publisher or a regular developer at one point, and the reason that they did the very first one was because the company was going under, and they genuinely wanted to preserve their digital only game for posterity. And the fact that it sold out, and then the next one sold out, and so on and so forth. That's how the brand came about. So there was a time when they weren't really doing this for the same motivations that they are now, when they were just trying to preserve their own games for posterity, and those games tend to be the most expensive.
Wait, so what were the first game? Was it Breach and Clear on Vita and Saturday Morning RPG?
Yes.
Yep.
Are you telling me this whole company came because we needed to preserve Breach and Clear on the Vita? Oh my God. All right. Is Breaching Clear a good
Okay.
game? I've never played it, so I guess I can't on it. But I've
It's
also
not
never
terrible.
felt like I needed to play it.
But it's not. It doesn't matter. Like the quality of the story is still a great story to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
right? Like that it was people just wanted. They were just proud of the work that they did, and they wanted to not see that go away.
And now they've got big booby anime games.
Yes.
They sure do. Nurse Love Addiction too. Woo!
Well, and there's like, there was when they had to go chase down people and be like, hey, this is who we are and like this is what we're interested in doing. And like when they were in that phase where they were going out and they were finding games to do physical runs of, I think that was like the golden age as far as like the quality of the games that they were making. Whereas now, like I have seen business plans built in, where like limited run is actually built in at launch, right? Like, or at, when during development, they're like, this is just part of our life cycle. We're going to do a digital game and then limited run is going to do the physical edition. And so it's just like rather than them in like a grassroots sort of guerrilla fashion going out and finding games that they love or games that they feel are important to be preserved, now they're just literally doing everything.
And the fact that it's this constant stream of these FOMO releases. First of all, if you have fear of missing out on buying something because you think it's going to be a collectible, then that's just something that you shouldn't buy. That is a really big indicator that you're buying something with manufactured scarcity rather than true collectibility. Organic collectibility, at least. But because there's this constant fire hose of limited print things, whether it's video games, I mean, this also happens with like records and clothing. There's always the next drop. What are the chances that not only the specific game you buy, what are the chances that the era or the console of this limited run thing that you buy, anyone's even going to care about it in the future? If you're even going to care about it in the future, because I could tell you, currently, if I had some hyper exclusive PS3 thing, I'd be like, oh, well, it's too bad it's on PS3 and no one cares about that. Right now, the Switch seems really special. It's everyone's favorite console. It's got these adorable little cases. 3 Nintendo consoles down the line, it's just going to be another Nintendo console. I bet it's going to have a reputation for being a really bad port machine. Not bad, but it's going to have a reputation for being a port machine. And the people who are collecting games are going to be like, well, I can get the original releases on Wii U, or I could get the new Legacy Edition remaster because we live in this world where everything's remastered on everything.
Tyler's come around.
No,
Wii U collecting
so that was
is
not.
coming
I was just
back.
talking on
Wii U
that.
collecting
Wii U is not going to be collectible.
I've been waiting for this moment, Tyler. Wii U is back. You hear that? You heard it here first. Tyler said so. Wii U is back.
Well, Wii U has the same problem. Wii U has a bunch of middle entries into franchises. The only thing new it has is Splatoon. I don't see that becoming the next Metroid, Zelda, or Mario.
Maybe.
But,
who knows? Like, who knows if that's going to be one of their tentpole franchises?
Guys invested in Wii U.
From the esports, from the esports angle, they're trying.
Yeah. So, going back to some of what you said. First off, 100% on holding off on this stuff. If you fear you're going to miss out on it, then you're buying it for the wrong reason, because that's not something you want to do. That's, like you said, completely manufactured. That's not to say that if you don't like one of the games that you shouldn't buy it because you want it. Like, I'm completely honest. As much as I shit on limited run, I like Shadowgate. They released Shadowgate. I bought Shadowgate. I'm looking forward to that coming. It's not because it's some limited print of Shadowgate. I just want to own more Shadowgate in my life. That's it.
I'll let you keep going, but
ahead.
I just want to say, like, Streets of Rage 4 is currently like up there, and I'm like, well, that's Streets of Rage. That's a big franchise. Like, this might be my only chance to get it. But at the same time, it's like I'm not waiting for Streets of Rage 4. I'm not personally the biggest fan of that. So if the only reason you're buying it is because of the fear of missing out, then that's the problem.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That's not why I bought Shadowgate. I bought Shadowgate because I like it. In some series I like to collect, so I'll buy a game. If it's a physical release for the game, I'll buy it because I like to collect for that series, but it has nothing to do with the FOMO aspect. That more of how I collect stuff. Entirely different. But we were talking about what the value is of those games. And I think I counted roughly 14, and that's not a hard number on these Star Wars games. So let's say you were buying those Star Wars games, and they're roughly $40 each. And there's 14 of them.
For the
and
poor
these are
people
just
versions,
the
aren't
regular.
they $60 each
Yeah.
for the good versions?
No, they're more like 80 for the good versions. That's $560 you could have put elsewhere. That's a good, like, solid collectible. That's a very high tier Super Nintendo game, high tier NES game, for instance. That's a couple of sealed games of mid tier stuff maybe, or low tier stuff that you could have went out and bought if you're interested in those avenues. Now, if you are buying the big box edition, because this is just like the regular versions, right? The poor people versions, as Tyler said. The kind I would recommend you buy, like, that's if you're just trying to play it, just buy that one. Don't go crazy for the shitty bad version, which is the special edition. But those are more like $80. So double that number. That $560 becomes $1,120. And what are you buying for, over $1,000? Like, what awesome couple of games could you get at that cost rather than these fake rare games that don't matter and will fall off a cliff? And the other thing about these, I've seen some of these premium editions selling for less on eBay than they are on the limited run website when they released.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who was talking. Yeah, someone just bought one for, like, not a huge discount. It was like $5 or $10 less on one of these Star Wars special editions than the MSRP.
It was the collector. That's Chris is his name.
Okay. But
a comic book guy. I forget what his name is on Instagram right now.
It frustrates me, the people who flip these and then immediately lose money, because one, yeah, you're an idiot, but secondly, you didn't lose $5 or $10 when you sold it for $5 or $10. You got eBay fees, you got PayPal fees, you got both limited run and shipping to the end buyer. You've got tax on 2 of those different transactions. Like, there's so much money that got lost. Like, why didn't you just ship that game directly to my house and then send me a $20 bill with it? And then that would have been a much more efficient transaction for everyone involved.
Well, some of that is the way these games are acquired, right? Because some of these people have bought from other people who bought out of bad situations, so maybe they picked it up for less. So you can't just say that, like, the resellers had a problem. But also, Limited Run does this thing where they say they only sell direct through Limited Run, but that's not true. So, like, I know stuff goes out the door at Limited Run that's outside of the production number to other people who then sell it at whatever their cost is, which is not exactly what you and I would pay.
Yeah, and they do have some brick and mortar deals where they sell directly to game stores. So that's actually a pro tip there. If you're afraid that you missed out on a run, go ahead and check around your local game stores to make sure they don't have any.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of stores, but there are a few that have them, and they have, just like anybody, they have wholesaler deals. Like, it's not, and that's outside of the number. So again, back to that artificial number that they try to keep their print runs low. This is like another way that happens. Also, they make a bunch extra in case of damages and things happen. So there's more than the number implies. Yep. So Tyler, I know you had some other, like, big points you wanted to make. What else do you want to talk about manufactured collectibility versus organic, and why you should avoid manufactured collectibility?
So honestly, the very first point I wanted to bring up, we never got to, but it's that if you're paying for scarcity on a brand new item, if, like, that's the reason the item costs a lot, the only person that's getting value out of that is the manufacturer. So $150 PC game, a mail order version of Wolfenstein 3D, that's pretty special. It wasn't in stores. People didn't keep those boxes. Apogee happens to be one of the most desirable PC publishers. Out of tens of thousands of PC games, there's almost none of them that are in the hundreds. It's a very, very small fraction that's in the hundreds. And especially not just because they're rare. There's tons of rare games that are totally worthless because no one cares about them. So when you're going to limited run games right now and you're spending $150 on Chex Quest, that's a free game that you're basically paying the price for it as if it was already a rare collectible. That is what gets me. Like, you could go and buy, probably not now because now they're, like, remaking Chex Quest and stuff, but for $150, I could almost guarantee you could have got the original organic collectible a box of Chex cereal with Chex Quest in it for $150. And now you're buying this box that essentially has no value, has a bunch of tchotchkes in it, stickers, coins, a statue, a soundtrack CD, enamel pins, a t-shirt. There's all this stuff that costs essentially nothing from China, and it's just junk that has a license you enjoy. That doesn't give a game value. Honestly, limited run games Chex Quest is what prompted this episode, so that's why I'm talking about it right now.
Also, just so you guys know, we've tied it back to more cereal because everyone wants more cereal content.
Yeah.
And if you...
Perfect episode,
Yeah.
Johnny, right?
We did it. We definitely didn't mess up the beginning and ruin all of that stuff. We managed the perfect episode today. The other thing, back to cereal, the collector's edition of this box from Limited Run is like a cereal box. They did that. So I'm curious if cereal collectors are going to be even mildly interested in this at all.
Probably not. I'm going to say not a chance.
I hope not, but it is in a cereal box. And they've got a full-scale Zorcher replica, like the Chex Warrior statue, like you said, enamel pins, some hollow foil stickers. Now, is it holographic or is it foil? Which is it? Or are these actually holographic foils?
I would say holographic, but I think holofoil has become a more popular term, but maybe they mean something different.
Yeah, I don't know. Foils in Magic, it's just foils, but these are foily like that hologrammy looking material. But this is the thing I wanted to bring up to you just because I know this is your favorite, and I'll let you rant a little bit here. Can you tell me, Tyler, was this game, because they put it like on the original disc, or it's a USB stick that looks like a floppy. Is that how the game should come? Or
okay, shout out to my friend and college roommate Ben, who looked at Chex Quest. He's a big Chex Quest fan, and he looked at this and he kind of wasn't impressed. And the very first thing he said is, "Why the is there a floppy disk? Chex Quest came on a CD." And it's just, it perfectly exemplifies what is wrong with this, that they have these floppy USB drives because it's just something they have laying around. I know that they had it in the Sigil big box limited editions that they put out. And just like, well, we've got 5,000 of these USB floppy drives that look like floppy disks. So I guess we're putting them in Chex Quest, even though it makes no sense because the game never came on floppy disk. So that's
Yep.
one thing.
Yeah, I just wanted you to be able to call that out real quick. Yeah, this is all, if you're looking at this, guys, you should be able to see immediately with your eyes, especially on the special editions, that this is all manufactured bullshit, okay? It's the worst of the worst. And by the way, that's $150 for that item.
Yeah, and they have a $40 one, but it's just like, so there is one cool thing. I think the Zorcher replica is cool. It's not $150 cool, but that is a cool thing. Like if there was a Funko Pop, if that was like a $10 item, like, yeah, I want the Zorcher. But I'm not going to buy, because people try to be like, oh, there's 20 different items divided by this, so you're only paying like $8 an item or whatever. There's so much stuff in here. It's like, well, it's a sticker. It's an art book with 24 pages in it. None of this has like actual value to me, besides the Zorcher thing, which looks like it might be cool. And I don't want to say that when like Infocom put out games, they would put out stuff like this all the time. Like we could put in, an extra $1.25 worth of stuff that makes our box seem a lot more packed. That's all the kind of stuff that we're getting in these very samey limited editions now. But I do want to say what I do think has value, because I don't want to just say it's impossible for any of these games to have value. I just think there needs to be effort put into a release like this to give it value beyond just being, oh, it's limited. And so you could have a better version of a game, whether it's an HD remake. Just think of like what the Criterion Collection would do. They wouldn't just re-release the existing footage. They remaster the film with their 2K restoration nonsense and put out the best version of that film that's ever been on Blu-ray. They could include a documentary about the making of Chex Quest or interviews with the people who made it. They could give you a coffee table book, essays about why Chex Quest is important and why we should re-release it, how Chex Quest came to be. Not a cheap art book. I don't even think this thing has an art book, does it? But something that takes effort or art to put together. Like someone made art for that poster, but I don't know. It's a poster.
Yep. Don't forget that, they made a vinyl soundtrack of it that you can buy as an ancillary item that they didn't even put in the $150 version. But there is a special Chex Quest fan bundle for $217, which includes the big box edition, the cereal box edition, and the record. In
Okay,
case you want
this
that.
makes me mad too, because you already have a box of essentially nothing. What does that box cost? Probably $25 to put together. You're telling me for $150 you can't include the vinyl soundtrack, maybe the most interesting item in the box? But again, the Chex Quest is based on Doom, which has like its sample-based soundtrack and the MIDI soundtrack, and the high-quality soundtrack would be a MIDI soundtrack played through like a Roland sound module, like an SC55 or an MT32, and each of those different sound modules has a different sound. So you can't put out the definitive Chex Quest soundtrack because there's going to be different soundtracks depending on what kind of audio hardware you had. And if you're listening to the version that all the poor people without MIDI modules were listening to, then that's not the best version of the soundtrack. So why? There's no reason for this to be on vinyl. Johnny, this is the worst game to have a soundtrack for.
All right. Glad we did it.
That made me sweat.
Also, yeah, I feel more attracted to you than I ever have.
Oh my,
that's weird.
I played Chex Quest. The last time I played it was probably like 3 years ago. But it was the first game that I played after like specifically importing a $400 PCI card from Poland that would let me use my MIDI sound modules. So I got that perfect Chex Quest audio, Johnny.
Nice. Also, I just want to call out that the soundtrack, like, I don't know what they were going for here, but like the record, it looks more like an Eggo waffle than a Chex, to me anyways. Also, I have a problem with the way people bundle things now. And this is like, again, part of that manufactured, like this collector's bundle. There's nothing about this bundle that makes it collectible. There's no special box set. This is just all three of the pieces that you could buy individually smashed together in one SKU. Yeah. There's no special box to go in. There's no discount on the price. So like, that's another thing that these people who do manufactured scarcity do now. They create fake bundles full of garbage stuff, like Skybound. If you look at any of their stuff, like not any of it, but some of the stuff they did, they had like the shit they threw in their special edition box, didn't throw the games in there, and then it was just stuff you could buy from the store. And if you just pieced it all together, you'd be paying the same exact price, but instead you bundled and accidentally bought a bunch of dumb shit you didn't want because it's like garbage. Oh, I've got that sticker. No, you paid $5 for that sticker because it was in the bundle and also in the store, and they're just adding SKUs up. So be wary of fake bundles, especially bundles that aren't even all bundled together in one box. So
if it's an item that you would take out of the box and go, huh, that's neat, and then put it back into the box, it has no value. It's not more collectible because that it's there.
Nope. You know what part of big boxes I like the best? The box.
The box. I mean, the Chex Quest box is cool. Like, I don't think Chex Quest is bullshit. I think the price is crazy. I think people will buy it because they'll think it has value in the future. But there are at least a couple things cool about it. One being the box and the other thing being the Zorcher.
Also, like, why wasn't the cereal box just the definitive edition of this? Like, instead of doing this big box one, like, why not package a different box? Like, the coolest version is definitely the cereal box. Why make people jump through the hoop? I understand they're trying to make money here, but, like, the price up is so high. It goes from $40 to $150. It's asinine when they do stuff like this.
I don't know. I think it's because they know they can get it. Again, I know we're harping on this. I don't think this is the worst release because Chex Quest, while it is a game that was out there technically was never like a retail release where you could buy it, even though you could literally just go download it. If it's not freeware, it's very easy to find. Oh, and also I know that they went through a lot of effort to get the rights for it. I know that it's been in the works since at least 2017, and they have unsuccessfully tried to get the rights to make Chex Quest for an April Fool's joke in the past. Because not only do they need like the developer rights, they need, whoever, General Mills or whoever makes Chex, and they're probably just like, what, you want to put out an old, what are you talking about? Stop it. We have billions of dollars of cereal to sell. So, it is cool that they got the rights to this, but it also is Chex Quest.
Yeah, we harp on limited run a lot, and it's because they're the biggest offender, and they are helping proliferate this model. So we want people to be incredibly wary of manufactured scarcity, because you have companies like Limited Runs, again, at the forefront pushing this idea. And they even do some dirty shit, like put like stickers and stuff on, banners on the website, forever physical and stuff. When a lot of that is nonsense, especially the Star Wars releases. They were already physical releases. Stop saying forever physical. Like, you for that. Like, and like what Tyler was saying, like, put something cool in there. A steelbook is cool, but again, like, they cheaped out. They put the Star Wars, they put it in a steelbook for like Jedi Academy, because I really like the Jedi Academy game. So I'm like, maybe I'll look at one of those. It's a steelbook. It just says Star Wars Jedi Knights in like pale blue, and then giant limited run above the Lucasfilms logo. It's just, one, drives me insane, like, because limited run is somehow more important than Lucasfilms, the people who made the game. Off on that. Just like, know like the way you should order things as far as giving respect to the people you're using. It makes me crazy, man. They're so egregious that it is upsetting for all of us.
I'm just going to disagree with you on one thing there. Limited Run is not even close to the worst offenders. The worst offenders are modern game publishers like EA and Ubisoft, who think that Watch Dogs Legion needs a standard edition, gold edition, ultimate edition, and collector's edition. And they're
Fair
so
enough.
not collectible that we don't even think about it, because that's how worthless all those like big statue editions are.
Yeah, no, you're right on that point. I was talking more to targeted specifically at retro game collectors,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
which is what Limited Run is. Like, they're really, I mean, they do have crossover market, but you are right. The EAs of the world, like, how many, what is it? God, the NBA games on the Switch, where there's like the Legendary Edition, the regular edition, the Special Legacy Edition, like, it's really gross. And you are 100% right about that.
The statue phenomenon is what has put me off of doing sets for modern games. It's not even necessarily the size of the library. It's how many ridiculous games got big box collectibles. Like, I have seen someone that did a Xbox 360 set with all of the like premium collector's editions, and it just looks like a GameStop, and it's just like, ugh. Plus, like, where the hell are you going to put all that? But
Is that just because of our age? Are there going to be people, in 2050 that are like, man, I wish my house just looked like a GameStop, instead of like us being like, oh, we want all the signs, we want our house to look like Funkoland. You have a Funkoland sign in your game room.
Yeah, I do. I don't know, but I mean, the thing is I mean, it's going to come down a lot to space, right? Because even like a complete PS1 set or a complete PS2 set, while that is a lot of real estate, it pales in comparison to the next generation, where they really just amped up the statues and the big boxes and the the notices that say, hey, the game's not even in here, go download it, and here's your gigantic Fallout box. It's it's gonna command like such a space premium. Like a 360 set with all the statues and would take up half my game room. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, to piggyback on that. So, Stefan, where my Dreamcast set is, I could fit, like, of the large special editions I have for Xbox, I could not fit them there.
Yep.
In the space my Dreamcast set takes up. I could not fit one Rock Band complete kit in that spot.
Yeah, I think the drum set would be bigger, right?
If we're looking at my PS1 set, and like you're like, well, Dreamcast isn't a very big set. Let's talk about PS1, 1,300-ish games, almost. More if you count the greatest hits. I could get maybe 10 special editions, 10 to 20. I mean, maybe generally I could get like 40 in there of the smaller ones, or just the steelbooks, but like the big box with the statues, the Duke Nukems and all that of the world, and the giant Final Fantasy boxes, maybe 20 to 40 in that spot.
Yeah.
Rather than 1,300 games.
Right.
Well, you know what? The game companies are doing us a favor, especially us with like the brain squirrels that we need to have full sets of everything, because that gives us a very clear cutoff where it becomes suddenly very undesirable to want to collect a certain console.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also like it makes it back to what we were talking about, the Trough of No Value, right? Those items are going to have a lot harder time pulling out of the U and coming out the other side.
So I think that's the interesting part. So they're going to have a harder time. I don't know what would spark interest in them again, but you know what? In 30 years, if you have a Batman Arkham City 100% complete in box with the statue and everything, and you hadn't thrown it out while it was completely worthless, like maybe someone would eventually be interested in that. That's what I think.
There are going to be some, right? But not all of them. That bet everything like, I don't know how many people are going to be clamoring for that Fable 3 that looks like a book in 20 years. Maybe there will be a large push on it. But like, that's the thing. When every version of it is also a special edition, when you make when half of your or a third of your run of the game is special editions, then it's not special.
Right.
Right? Like if you made 100,000 special editions, that's not special.
Or video games that come out and now they put day one edition at the top of the case. And it's like the majority of the cases out there say day one edition on it. So what does it even mean?
Well, I mean, I feel that way about first prints too. Like, well, that's some nuance that video game collectors have not parsed yet, right? That the more limited version, the more rare one, so to speak, might be the one that's more value. But I guarantee like most of the greatest hits and player's choice games saw a smaller print run than the day one or first print ones, right?
I mean, all of them.
So why aren't those right? So why isn't that the more valuable? Because that's really the more limited one to have.
Because it's garbage.
Because the first run you do is usually your biggest run, right?
Well, rarity is not value, Johnny. That's why.
Well, and we've said that before.
Yeah.
But that's a thing that might get parsed later one day. Like as the hobby gets more nuanced, that's something that I think people will start to look at. I don't think collectively the hive mind will accept it, but I think people will start to notice it at least a little more.
Yeah, that is also something that I wanted to bring up, just as sort of a pro tip, that if the edition side, if you are looking at these manufactured collectibles and as an investment proposition, or you're looking into these as you want to pick some up, if the edition number is listed, pay attention to that, because a lot of these quote unquote collectibles, it'll be like, oh, this is the limited edition. Here's the certificate, and it was out of an edition of 25,000. That's not in any way, shape, or form limited. Like, that is larger than a lot of regular print runs for a lot of games. So just understand that, like, if you have a certificate, if it's set, or if you can easily find out what the edition size was, then like even a manufactured rare collectible, if it's out of 500, that's going to be a better investment or a better bet for investment than something manufactured out of 25,000.
I think there's a subjective thing to that on what is rare, kind of. There is a point where you can limit something enough to where it's definitely cool. Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's case was an E3 promo. I think there's easily less than 100 of them, let alone how many are accounted for. And that's seen as the holy grail of PS1 collecting. There's a ton of other circumstances about that, like it being a working designs thing and the fact that it's super cool. But even 1,000 or 500 could still be a lot if it's a game that nobody wants, if it's, some anime game on limited run game. So it's all down to the demand on things like that.
Sure.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point, right? Because you're talking about who did it, right? Working designs. You're talking about other elements that, go into the soup, so to speak, that make something desirable. So you have to look at those other factors. Like, is Chex Quest maybe the most desirable? I don't know. A lot of people are apparently into it, but a lot of these games that get pushed out that you've never heard of because they were just digital things with special editions, maybe people don't have or care about that. Maybe there's nothing pushing behind it. Whereas something like Star Wars has a lot of crossover potential, or if it was like a Disney special edition where you have other collectors who are going to come in from other markets and be looking at it, which will provide, like, you have to look at what factors outside of just game collectors or within game collectors are going to drive the demand later. So that's working design. People collect working design specifically. That's driving the value. Disney, people are Disney collectors who will come in and have nothing to do with video games. They're like, I'm buying this because Disney. Comic collectors, same kind of stuff. If it's a comic book property, these are the kind of things that you have to like put in your brain when you're thinking, do I actually think this will, like, is this going to be manufactured and stay that way and be gross forever? Or might it actually make it out the other side? If you're looking to speculate, these are the kinds of things you have to think about. And that's why I asked you about the cereal box. Do you think any of these cereal box collectors are going to look at this and be like, hey, that's a cereal box. Maybe I should come over here and try and get that?
I don't know. If you're gonna, not that I want to give speculation advice on Collector's Quest. If you're gonna speculate, I would say never do it on modern games is the way to do it. I don't care what's coming out.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just talking if
Go
you're,
buy hang tags,
if you're thinking
black box games.
Yeah.
Just go speculate on those. You're all gonna be millionaires.
True. Yeah, those are much better buys. But I'm talking about if you're buying it and you're thinking about what comes out the other side, because before you guys were even on the podcast and you heard me say I'm an opportunistic buyer. Like sometimes I'll look at people like, oh, how'd you get that deal on that thing? How'd you know to buy that? And it's not because I'm a genius or because somebody told me something. It's because I sat down and I thought about, okay, well, how's this gonna look on the other side? I think about the other factors that come in and I'm like, if I've ever seen it, like, what do I know? I apply all those other things to the formula. It's not just like, oh, well, he's just so well versed in video games, he knows. No, I applied everything I've learned through this and then I've bought opportunistically.
Johnny, that's not true at all. You bought it because you buy literally everything. So when something happens to become cool, you're just like, oh, look at me. I already happen to own that, huh?
No, that's not true. Because I didn't.
I know you have things like your Game Boy things, and where you don't have full sets yet. I know.
Well, and there's things I eventually got around to doing sets with that I was not doing sets with when I bought opportunistically, or I bought sets because I had an opportunistic buy, which enabled me to do it later, right? And not being trapped by like the financial hill that is most of those games, because I already got like some of the best stuff out of the way because I was thinking right in the beginning and not coming in when video games are all hot and $1 million and gonna bankrupt me if I try and buy everything.
Not the Wii U. You can get Wii U games for nothing. Everybody invest. It can't go down any further.
Get on the Wii U hype train. Show me
investment advice. It can't get any worse than this.
Well, I mean, I'm piloting that Wii U hype train. Let's go. I'm the conductor and the engineer on that. Put in that train sound and the whistle right now, please, Tyler. And all on board the Wii U hype train.
Nintendo, Sega, Saturn. Choo choo.
Are we over PS2 then? Are we not hype training? Are we not going to do a...
Stefan, you need a goal that you can't buy all in one transaction. You need something to work on. Go buy PS2 games.
No, see, that's what that is just challenging me to find someone that I can buy the entire PS2 set.
No, I had an idea. Like I was going to take down the Genesis wall and I was going to start putting PS2 games there. And like this was an idea that I had floated very briefly in that, and I was like, I want to talk to you guys more about it. Like I wanted us to collectively do the set as the podcast. Like no one has to go in and buy like any of the big expensive stuff, but like when you find bulk $3 or $2 like PlayStation games, if it's not on our like podcast list, put it in there. And then I was going to allow listeners to donate games, not like that we're asking for free games if we did this, but like a $10 or less game that you probably found in a lot that really only cost you $1. Send it to us. I'll put your name in it. And then if we ever complete the set, like I'll take everyone's, I'll record everyone's name and what game they sent and do a thing. That was an idea I had. I don't know if we'd ever do that, but I thought that would be like a cool background to like when we record, just having the
PlayStation or PS2?
PS2.
PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Yeah, like getting that. And like for the PS2, I have like most of the heavy hitters already out of the way. So I would put those up and like start stockpiling in.
You know what always, anytime we talk about this, it reminds me of the conversation that Johnny and I had. There was, before like you two aggressively trying to get me to collect PS2, there was a day that I came up to Johnny and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing the PS2 set, and you told me no. You said absolutely not. You steered me away from that. And
Well, you also
and
had other things to do.
That could have been your moment, Johnny. That could have been your moment.
If you had spent that money, you may not have been in the position to spend the money on the stuff you were currently spent your money on, which turned out into a much better proposition. So all I'm expecting to hear from you is thank you.
I just want to I want to clarify for our listeners that I think the PS2 is a cool set to collect. I want to buy more PS2 games. I don't want the set. I just want to get like the good stuff basically, but I'm not making fun of the PS2 and I'm trying to get you to collect it. I do think it's an interesting set.
You guys want to do the PS2 set for the podcast? Come on. Buy bulk games.
No, that sounds too much like e-begging, even if we're e-begging for Madden 2002s. I don't like it. If Metal Jesus did it, I'd be like, really? He's asking his listeners to fill his wall with PS2 games? How stupid is that?
No.
What does he want next? $50,000 for a road trip?
Yeah, no. I was talking about like not the whole set. Like I wouldn't put it on our listener base. Like they would be limited to like one game. You could send in one game if you wanted to be part of the thing. We would do all the heavy lifting. That would just like be part of the community. Send us your $1 PS2 game.
Send us your listener feedback if you think that. So the sadder part would be if we did that and then we got like 3 games over the course of 5 years.
Well, I mean, but we would still be buying in the interim, right, to fill in the set. Are you?
It sounds like you just want an excuse to collect more PS2, Johnny.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need much of an excuse to buy things either, right? Like it's not like I'm shy on buying things. We make fun of old Stefan for doing that, but I have some pretty healthy buying habits of my own, right? It's not like I've ever shown a stack of like over 100 games and been like, well, this is what I did today. What'd you do? I don't know if Tyler's ever done that. Didn't you just do that like twice, like over 3 months right before your wedding? Tyler?
What did I do?
Like bought like 100 games?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Black Friday was Black Friday.
Yeah, I know.
What can I do?
Not buy them?
They were too good of a deal. I was being whatever the word, opportunistic buyer.
Okay, see, there you go.
Piper is dying to say hello.
Say hi, Piper.
Hi.
Piper, you want to say hi? You want to say hi in the mic?
Hi.
Yeah. What's your favorite video game? She can't hear us. You're wearing headphones.
That's right.
Doc McStuffins.
Doc McStuffins? Yeah, that's what she's playing right now on her tablet. She brought me. I have been playing Doc McStuffins for the last 10 minutes because she asked me to.
What's the name of this game? It sounds like you're saying something Steffens.
Doc McStuffins?
Doc McStuffins?
Stuffins.
Oh my God,
Stuffins.
you're the worst.
Oh my God.
Stuff, like a stuffed animal.
Oh my God. Okay. That's cool.
It's a popular children's television show.
All right.
Wow.
So, driving us back to where we were, that was just a speculative post. Tyler, you made it sound gross, and I didn't like that. I don't like what you did there. You made me feel icky about it. And how dare you ever quote me to Metal Jesus, guy who refused to monetize.
No, Metal Jesus did that, I would be making fun of him on this show.
Tyler, put it in your ass because I refuse to monetize this podcast. What are we on, like year 5 now or 4? Forever. And like now we start talking like, maybe I'll do something like this. Refused to do it. Wouldn't take sponsorships. Wouldn't take handouts when they were offered.
I'm like,
and now you're like,
giving you 150 episodes of content. You sending us a copy of Madden 2002. We're asking too much.
Yeah. Make me feel gross about it. How dare you?
That's funny. That's
jerk. All right. Okay. Do you have more to say about this, or are we closing this topic out?
We can close the topic. Let's close with just one question, Johnny. What's the coolest GameCube collectible? In kind of like the main GameCube set, nothing super weird.
Ooh. I mean, personal opinion or
yeah, just like personal opinion.
Actual. Let me think about the GameCube set. Well, I'm very partial to the Metroid Zelda combo, even though I think it's ugly and it's got a lot of problems with it on the layout and how they've organized things. But it is Metroid Prime and Zelda, which is like pretty hot.
Okay, Johnny, I'm going to stop you right there because you fell into my trap. That's exactly what I thought you were going to say. Why is that collectible, Johnny? Because it's not It wasn't a limited edition. It wasn't anything like that. It was a budget pack-in, but yet it's one of the most collectible GameCube things because that is organic collectibility. What a capstone!
Woo.
I'm dropping the mic. We're done with the episode. That was it.
We have more to do, Tyler.
I'm coming back. Thank you for saying the exact thing that I wanted to make an example of, Johnny.
You're welcome. I knew what you wanted.
I was gonna say Pokemon Box. Does that fit into your argument too?
No, because you're just speculating on Pokemon Box. You want yours to be worth the $1 million one day.
I mean, that's not
What
untrue.
did you pay? You paid like $600 or something for your Pokemon box, and now a regular complete box copy goes for like something more than that.
No, that one was. I mean, so I came up on the heels of a. I basically cleaned out my garage earlier that day, and sold off a bunch of stuff in bulk to a game store. So I think it was $900, but that was for a sealed graded copy.
Yeah, and I don't want to throw you put you on the spot with giving out prices. I just want to say that Game Value now currently has a complete copy of Pokemon Box at $800, and that price definitely includes ones that don't have the outer box factored in and ones that don't have the memory card factored in. So, what a buy, Stefan! It is spiking.
Yay!
Freaking Pokemon Box.
That's the story of my life. Overpaying at the time to then sit on it and then watch the price go way.
Let's go look up complete in box price of SOS on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Except for that game.
Well, and to be fair, Stefan did call me before that and asked me what I thought about that buy, and I thought that would be fine. We talked about the Pokemon Box buy.
Yep.
Speaking of Pokemon Box, GameCube in general kind of on fire with a bunch of stuff right now, right?
It's like on its weird, like, second or third spike, right? Because it spiked and then spiked again. Now people are hot and bothered for it one more time.
Disney Sports Basketball is currently the most expensive single game. I guess Pokemon Box is a single game.
It's been that way for a while.
Is it like, what? That's crazy to me.
That is crazy.
Rally Championship's on a tear, too. That's what I made an Instagram thing about that because I thought that was funny.
That slot car game, which was the last game I needed, that slot car game went on a run right after I bought it.
Well, that's because you bought it. So once you buy it, obviously it goes on a run. Right now it's at $118.
Yeah, I paid $10 for it.
All this stuff is like the past 2 months. Past 2 months, there's been huge spikes on a lot of things, which I don't understand because I would have thought coronavirus would have the opposite effect. But
yeah, well,
maybe it's going to take a while.
Let's do just like a quick market thing. Let's talk about where we are. Okay, so as much as I hate dating these episodes, it's important in these parts. So this is mid-April, April 18th-ish. Whoa. Hey, Piper. Yeah, so the market has been weird, right? So what have you guys seen? Because I've seen games going up, and I've seen all the major sites having super bad data. All major sites, video game price charts and Game Value now, having bad data, but eBay prices going up. Yeah, is this what you guys are seeing as well?
Yeah, almost everything, like anything that I'd be interested in as a collectible, a lot of it has gone up in the past 2 months. And then one thing I've noticed specifically today, in fact, a lot of games that have any kind of name recognition, specifically on NES, because that's what I've been looking for, like freaking Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and like Rambo, games that no one cares about except that they're a recognizable property. Like, they've all spiked up. And not that they were worth anything to begin with, but when you go from, $15 to $30, that's a huge spike in terms of like overall value for a game that's been worth nothing forever.
I have a hypothesis on the high end as to why the high end is actually going up right now too, and that is that, and I'd mentioned it the last podcast, where the trend I was seeing was not necessarily things going on fire sales, but that items that would not normally be readily available are, because people are now letting them go at competitive prices, but they are letting them go. So I think maybe the high end is getting a little higher because these games that you don't normally see, or these items that you don't normally see, there's now one on eBay, and people are like, I don't know when the next time I'm going to see that is. I'm actually bidding on one I'm bidding on one of those right now that both of you are very aware of, the one that I'm bidding on right now. But I haven't seen that object in 2 years, 3 years. And then so when now one has come up because allegedly because people are opening their collections up for sale right now. So I think maybe people are like, oh my God, this is the opportunity because now when the pandemic is over, this isn't going to be for sale anymore, or I'm not going to see another one in 100 years. So I think there's a little bit of FOMO fire there on the top end, where I didn't think the top end was going to be selling as much, but it seems like those exceptionally rare things that aren't normally available that are now available are selling at a premium because people are afraid that they're not going to see one again for a while. That is my hypothesis.
I'm not, Stefan, based on the way this object, notice how you said object and not game because you don't collect games, we know. Based on how it is presented, I'm going to say that the owner of this currently is not one of the high-end guys who... I would say everyone else who owns this is probably a high-end collector, but probably not this particular gentleman. But lack of respect. We'll talk about it next episode when you have it in your possession.
Hopefully.
When does the auction close? Like a couple days?
I think it's like 3 days.
Okay, so we won't say too much.
I mean, there's no way I'm going to edit it, the show in time, but just to be safe.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, if you're putting this out on Monday, then we are in trouble. I don't want to. But all right. I just wanted to see if you guys had kind of seen that movement too. I'm unsure. I don't know if people are like got their stimulus check and they're like, let's spend all that money. I'm not seeing a stimulus check, so that's not something.
Well, and the people
I'm never worried about.
Aside from the people who had direct deposit already set up, like I went through H&R Block and got a physical check cut, so I didn't have that already set up. So the people who are waiting for physical checks are still waiting. Like they're still, so like I don't know that the stimulus check has a ton to do with it right now because it's this like upward momentum has been going on for a little bit. So I don't know that that the stimulus, like I think maybe we will see another spike when people are genuinely getting their stimulus checks. But like the earliest I've even heard of people getting a direct deposit was like 2 days ago.
All right. Even stuff that you wouldn't expect to be like hot, going high. Like I was looking at some GBA boxes because GBA boxes are the hard part to find. The carts usually aren't that big a deal. And there was somebody who had some like fairly nice condition box and manual and poster and all the inserts, but no carts, which is like kind of perfect. Like, okay, yeah, great. I'll look at those. But they went super high. They went higher than I've ever seen them gone for box only, like against like fairly decent copies that were complete on eBay. And they were hitting around the same price as the complete copies. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if people are in like a bidding fever right now or what, but prices are weird right now. And I don't know what people are doing.
Like intuitively we'd be like, oh, well, 10% of people are out of work, coronavirus, everyone's scared. Game prices are going to go down. But what if like 6 months from now, it's just like, nope, we're new bubble for video games. We're all just going up in price and everyone was wrong.
Well, that's what happened during the housing crisis. It's not like, if you look like through 2007 through 2009, it's not like games tanked. That was when we talk about when the spike was. So
that's a different situation because I feel like games are already so low that it's not like they could have gone much lower.
I agree, but you also have this new base of people that are in game collecting, right? So if they are also opportunistic buyers and you have people like as Stefan was saying, just bringing stuff into market that wasn't there before, you might just see these like artificial rises. Also, it doesn't take too many sales to push the average cost of a game up.
100%, yeah. The games don't like a limited run game can sell 5,000 copies at once, but the average NES game sells like a copy a week.
Yeah, so that's like, again, be wary of both of your major or all three data points, right? eBay is thinking about ESPN because I miss sports, and I should be like in basketball playoffs right now.
That sounded so heartfelt, Johnny. You were just, I miss sports.
I do. Well, it's like I just keep thinking about it should be like basketball playoffs like right now, and I should be like thoroughly invested and like agonizing and losing sleep over the Lakers and like the one game they lost that they shouldn't have, and like, is that going to matter? I should be in that space right now. And I was looking forward to being there because the Lakers haven't been there in a little while and it's been a little dry. Anyways, get myself off topic. I don't know. I'm lost now. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Oh, I got to save Johnny here.
I just
And,
now I'm
come
thinking
back
about basketball.
from his basketball tangent, where I don't even remember how we got off on it. Guys, what are you buying and what are you playing, Johnny?
No, can't do it. Too sad.
Oh man, Stefan, what are you buying and what are you playing? Johnny is off in a lost space right now.
Playing. I actually have been playing some stuff recently. I mean, I'm still pretty. Boredom, I think, has drugged me back to World of Warcraft a lot. But also I played through the Final Fantasy VII remake, or actually I'm not all the way done with it. I am close to done with it. But that's been taking up a lot of my time. Buying, I bought this weird lot recently that and if you listen to my oh God, what do we call them? Side quests? My side quest number 2. If you go back and listen to that about social strategies, I talk about sometimes buying something to open up more opportunities. Like if you think that this person has something or will eventually have something that you're really
As if
after.
this wasn't an opportunity you're about to talk about.
Sure, but like having these initial buys that you wouldn't maybe necessarily buy into in order to open a door to that relationship. So I did that. But this lot is just like completely all over the place. So I have like 5,000 Pokemon cards and a bunch of sealed like Game Boy Pocket carrying cases, and like I don't know what else is crazy. A Virtual Boy kiosk head. A bunch of loose NES games with manuals, but then also a bunch of like CIBs that are pristine. Like it looks like someone just took the shrink wrap off them and then put them on a shelf.
And please send your doubles to me so I don't have to deal with eBay. Thanks.
For sure.
And just to be clear, when you say 5,000 Pokemon cards, there's so many like complete garbage, lots of 5,000 Pokemon cards. You pulled like 3 Charizards out and they all look like PSA 9 condition. Like they all look amazing.
Yeah, there's some fire in there too. But yeah, so there's just I a lot of my free time has been just like sorting through this ridiculous lot, and just so like I will it was 4 large boxes, but I just looked at the like the weight of the boxes, so it was basically like 180 pounds of miscellaneous stuff that I bought.
Jesus Christ.
So I have been sorting through that lot recently. That was my big get. Other than that, what did I buy? Oh, I hadn't talked about it before, but that I've newly been able to talk about it as the arrangement from the seller allows me. But there was a Nintendo Power Mario stand-up magazine rack. I was going to say standee. He's not really a standee. He's made out of like injection molded plastic. But this really cool Mario Nintendo Power magazine rack. I think I've only seen 3 of them in the wild. So that's really, really cool. I feel like I bought stuff that I'm not remembering right now. I don't think I've talked about. I bought a 4th World of Nintendo cabinet recently. I don't think I ever talked about that.
I feel like we've brought that up on the show. If not, I've talked in all caps about it to you on Facebook, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
God, I hope you move to an apartment one day and have to downsize all that, and I could just bring a U-Haul across the country.
What is wrong with you? I hope things go so tragically wrong that you have to move out of your house and move into a tiny
some
apartment.
People
so
like living in the city, Johnny. They don't do it because they're poor.
Tyler says like that all the time.
All the time. All the time.
If you move to Manhattan, that would be an increase in standard of living by most people's standards.
Tyler.
That's what I meant. I don't know what it is like in Simi Valley. I just know there's fires all the time. Maybe there's less fires where they have high-rise buildings and you go into the city
and get coronavirus.
Oh my God. Stefan, I hope you never sell your house.
It.
Oh my God.
No, I can't imagine ever moving. But yeah, that big lot of just like miscellaneous Nintendo stuff it was my big 180 pounds of Nintendo stuff. That was my big get.
Yeah, I guess that's like some stuff.
Some stuff. 180 pounds of stuff, you know.
no big deal for a baller.
It was just a feeler. I just wanted to break the ice with this seller by buying all this amazing stuff so I can get his real good stuff,
I wanted to break the ice by buying 180 pounds worth of his stuff.
That's a person. That's a whole person worth of stuff.
Yeah. That's like a generously sized, lady or, a chubby man. That's, chubby man size that you bought worth of stuff.
That's right. It's true.
Tyler, what did you buy? And what did you play?
What have I been really trying to buy? Like the thing, I really just want to complete SNES. I have no fire to do it because I'm still waiting for Hagane to show up in like really nice condition without me having to buy it complete in box. It's kind of getting to the point where every Hagane loose cart is just completely trashed. Or if it's not completely trashed, it has like one or two defects that makes me not want it. Because once a game is over like $200, I don't want it unless it's perfect because it's just not worth it because it's going to be someone like me who doesn't want it unless it's perfect, because if I'm spending that much money on a game, it should be a showpiece. So instead, what I've been doing is just going through and looking for first-party Nintendo games I don't have yet, because when I don't know what to buy, one of the things I fall back on is going and buying things that I think I might want one day, and one of the things I think I might want is just owning every first-party Nintendo release, which I realize is going to be impossible because there's like weird Japanese stuff I'll never get. But the biggest gap I found was DS. I don't own any DS games for some reason. So I went through and I bought all of these garbage $6 DS games.
Like what?
Do you know about Crosswords and Crosswords Plus?
I do.
First party Nintendo games, guys. Big Brain Academy.
Big Brain Academy 2. Did you get the variants or just standard editions?
No, I don't care about the variant. Oh my god, like those with the orange things on top. What's up with that, Johnny? Which one do I want?
Tyler doesn't care about variants?
Not for DS games. I just want to check off a list.
You don't want the orange banding across the top. That's secondary, like Hotel Dusk you're probably looking at too. It's got that orange banding.
Are you kidding? I don't want the orange bands.
No.
Johnny, I wasted at least $4 then, because my Big Brain Academy and Crosswords both have the orange band on top. And
yeah, pretty
I know I spent $1.99 on each of those.
Damn. I think you're okay. I don't think people care yet.
All right. I got all the Tingle games. There's 3 Tingle games in Japan. I didn't realize there were so many. I don't even know what they are.
I have 2 of them. I don't have the third one though.
Picross. I don't know. Anyway, all that nothing like super exciting there. I don't even know why I'm listing all these games.
Tingle is it's like Zelda ancillary. That's cool.
Oh yeah, the Tingle ones are cool. Those are the only ones that were like moderately expensive. I think there was $40 for all 3 of those. The rest of these are literally like $5 games. I got one of the most desirable, you might have heard of this before, Black Box NES games, Complete Hang Tab. I got Gumshoe, a game you might have heard of, was in a certain transaction for $1 million recently. So all-time classic there.
It's a good get.
And then the crown jewel, which I know everyone listening to this will appreciate, I bought a complete in box Nokia 6190. The first American cell phone that had Snake. It's the first appearance of Snake in America, because I believe the Nokia 6100 in whatever country Nokia's from
Tyler?
is technically the first release of Snake.
Aren't you,
Tyler? When you say Snake, do you mean something like Solid Snake? Something someone cares about, or are you talking about something different that no one cares about?
Snake.
Tyler.
It plays a lot like Nibbler, the arcade game.
Aren't you the one who says that you have to buy it in the region it's from? Because that's the true first print from Japan, not America. Like, don't you rant like that? And then you bought the not first print?
That is true.
You did something weird and stupid, and then you even did it wrong.
That's why I specified that I got the first American phone with Snake on it. I couldn't find if I could have got I literally bought this because it was $10. But I couldn't find one. There were a couple that I found for like $200. It's like, I'm not spending $200 for a cell phone. So,
well, it won't be now because you're like Tyler apologists that listen to the show are gonna go and like buy all these phones.
Like whatever. Like, I like having stuff like that. I wouldn't have bought this if it was $200 because I didn't. But I think this is neat. I think that no one else has one of these in their collection, and it only cost me $10. So, why not?
Because you're a weirdo.
damn it. All right,
So,
well, that's what I got. And then I guess I've been playing Animal Crossing. Big shock. It's really bad because everyone's posting all their cool Animal Crossing stuff, and me and Ada are a month behind. So everyone's stuff is so much cooler than us. And then, guys, I've been playing RuneScape, which is like a problem in my life. I've got a little over 200 hours in my account, and when I hit this point in Path of Exile, I'd like realized that like this Path of Exile is destroying my life. Path of Exile feels like playing a slot machine. Like I'm very engaged in what's happening, and like I want to hit the big one. I'm leaning forward while I play. I kind of feel like I'm doing something wrong. I have like that feeling when I'm playing Path of Exile. RuneScape, I've literally sat there for 6 hours and like not even realized I'm playing the game because it's such a passive, lean back, slow experience. So it is. It's more like, I don't know, it's like a creeping, lingering rot in my life rather than, getting shot in the face like Path of Exile is. Yep.
Okay. On that note, awesome.
Johnny, I remembered one thing that I wanted to mention. Sorry, I'm also holding Piper, that I forgot that I did the other day. But a while ago, she's constantly moving my mic. Okay, I need to put you down.
No.
Okay, please. All right. So a while ago, you guys will probably remember there was a discovery of a data archive from Sierra Online. It was basically a DAT tape backup of the company's digital archive starting from around. Okay, well, the earliest tapes were dated 1994, but I'm not 100% sure what those tapes are backing up. Some of them are labeled, some of them aren't. But anyway, at the time I bought, I'm a very big fan of the MMO called The Realm, which is an early Sierra graphical MMO. And so I had bought a piece of that collection and just because I love The Realm. But then within the last week, I had talked to that buyer, and he is in no position to back up the archive himself. And so I am going to be working with the Video Game History Foundation so I purchased basically the entire archive from this gentleman, and I am going to be working with the Video Game History Foundation to get that all backed up and shared in perpetuity. So that's the big project that I probably bit off more than I could chew that I'm going to be working on for the foreseeable future. But yeah, so that was the other really big sort of thing that happened in my life, and it slipped my mind because the deal closed yesterday. So I'm still waiting to get those in hand. But yeah, it's so far just of like executable builds that we found on CD, because there's also a bunch of CDs, burned CDs. There are 3 unreleased PC games. So and that's not without digging through the actual DAT archive and all the unlabeled discs and et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a very large project, but both Frank Cifaldi and I are very keen to get started on it, and we're excited. So this is actually the first place that I've mentioned it, because I don't have the archive in hand yet, but yeah, that's happening, and we're really excited for it.
Yeah, so that's amazing. You're just forgetting about the fact that you've got a huge treasure trove archive of potentially more than 3 unreleased Sierra Online games, just one of the most beloved PC gaming companies. And also, I bought the wrong variant of Crosswords DS, so I guess you won collecting this week, but we'll see about next week.
I mean, I don't even get to I don't get to compete.
Yeah,
Johnny, you probably don't get to compete. You should tell the. Did you tell the Big Box PC gaming group about that on Facebook? There's probably I don't know if there's a more knowledgeable.
No,
Big Box PC
I'm
group,
waiting until I have it in hand so I can like really take good, because the photographs I have are like shitty, and like the footage of the games that I have is like a shitty potato phone.
Oh, like a Nokia 6190.
No, it's like he's like it's not an actual capture. Like he's just filming a monitor. So I'm just waiting until I have it in hand and I can actually take some quality photography of what we have, and we're gonna do like a big announcement with the Video Game History Foundation and stuff. So yeah, I haven't really spread it too much, but I will have it in hand by the time this podcast goes out. So
Neat.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Orange.
And Piper
All right.
really wants an orange.
All right, go get her an orange, man. She's hungry.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to win collecting this week either, so no worries, Tower. Also, your Tingle games are Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, Balloon Trip, and Balloon Fight. Those are the
Balloon
three
Trip and Balloon Fight are different games?
Yes.
And they came out in their own cases? What?
Yeah, it's like very confusing, but yeah, Balloon Trip is the one where it's like kind of pink and it looks like Tingle's dancing. And mostly it's like a Japanese title, so I don't know if that translation is solid.
Oh, it's not Balloon Trip from Balloon Fight.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. One of them I know came out on the eShop, and I know another one's an RPG.
Anyways, what did I buy? Well, I bought some GBA boxes, which I don't have yet. So hopefully they arrive. I bought, let's see, did I buy anything cool? Oh, I bought Castlevania 3 without the big sticker or without the label. I finally bought that.
I want one with the badge.
See, that's the first print, but the box art just looks cleaner without the badge. So please get get that ugly ass badge out of here.
I want both. I don't think you have to choose when it's something like this where there's like the first one and the better one, just get both. That's the thing to do.
Well, that's what I did. I mean, I already had the first print, and so I bought this. I finished our Lego Harry Potter minifigure collection because there was a few of the older ones we were missing to finish my wife's Lego minifigure wall. So that's exciting. I bought some NES manuals I was missing, some Super Nintendo manuals. Yeah, who's up for a Darkwing Duck manual? Yeah? Yeah, who wants that? No one? Monster in My Pocket manual?
Honestly, the Darkwing Duck's probably one of the hot NES games right now because it's a big licensed property. So
yeah. Well, I bought the manual because mine for some reason was missing it. Monster in My Pocket. Remember, I had Monster in My Pocket and then I finally got the figure?
Yeah.
Well, I had some like weird printed manual. Like it was but it's not like a printed one. It was like a weird card that was also a manual. It looked like a library card or like a 3x5 like note card kind of manual, but it was printed. So I've got that weird thing. So I bought a regular manual.
Like a rental case manual?
Kinda, but not really. But yeah, I don't know. It was a weird one. So I had it erroneously marked as with a manual. But when I was looking at it, I was like, nope. So now my extra copy of that has a manual in case I ever trade that for one that is a different color monster. That's my goal now. Find someone who wants a green monster and trade it for like an orange one. So yeah, that's what I bought. Oh, and I bought JD more books because that's what I do. Bunch of weird books. I wish anyone cared about like weird kids books. Like I bought him a bunch of Cthulhu books.
That's awesome.
Well, it's like The Littlest Cthulhu is like what I bought him. And then I bought him like some, Cthulhu, like Learn to Read Dagon and like Learn to Read Call Cthulhu. And they made it like Dr. Seuss books. This is what I read him the other night. And I was like, wow, this subject matter is tough for a 15 or 16-month-old. So maybe this isn't the best reading, but that's what we're doing. The process of reading is more important than the content.
It's okay. Yeah, there's a threshold where you can get away with just about anything. Like for the longest time when Piper was an infant, Game of Thrones was her favorite show, and she would laugh hysterically anytime someone got decapitated. Today that would not fly, but I feel like JD is still at that point where you can get away with quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, his favorite movie, Shrek may have been supplanted as a favorite. He still loves it, but Shrek has moved, I think, to 2. It's tough to say because he's an infant, but he really loves Coraline, which is like a weird, dark movie for him to love.
Yeah.
But it's Neil Gaiman, so he's got excellent taste. So what do you want? Yeah, that, and I bought him a bunch of Playmobil Ghostbuster figures and some Scooby-Doo ones.
Nice.
What were we talking about Playmobil? We were talking about the Playmobil collector scene?
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, there's people who collect Playmobil stuff, and there's like people who redo the houses. If you type in Playmobil Victorian into eBay and then sort by highest, like you will see some custom Victorian doll houses for Playmobil that are like $1,800, and it'll blow your mind that that's something that people spend money on, or maybe it won't because you collect games and that seems reasonable. Anyways, I was just
I don't think there's anyone who listens to the show who thinks Playmobil is reasonable. Like, Legos are cool, but Playmobil's not.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like, not even. I'm not saying it's a bad product, but it's not cool. The word "cool" does not apply to Playmobil.
no, and like I bought them for JD, right? But if I'm gonna buy him Playmobil, I'm not gonna buy him the farm animals because that is super f***ing boring to me. So what I instead bought him is Ghostbusters and Scooby Doo and a haunted house that's like a different line. And then I bought him like apparently they do holiday figures, and so I bought him like a vampire and a werewolf. Like I bought him weird monster stuff. So, I'm really designing him to be a strange kid who's not going to make friends easily, and for that I apologize. If you ever hear this, JD, sorry, dude, that's my bad. It's on me. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it. That's what I bought. Oh, what did I play? I played some Final Fantasy VII like everybody else on the planet. Even though my time has been so limited, I've managed to get into it. Tyler, you didn't play any Final Fantasy VII?
I didn't. I guess everyone who's not playing Animal Crossing is playing Final Fantasy VII, huh?
Yeah, or they're playing both.
Or Doom Eternal. That's the other one
Yep.
I think people are playing a lot of.
So
Everyone I know playing Animal Crossing plays it like 12 hours a day. So I guess Doom Eternal is the other one too. Yeah, you're right.
So, Stefan, let's talk real briefly, even though this episode is super long. Man, I'm cussing a lot today. I'm tired. I'm gonna have to bleep and bleep and bleep. Don't know why I'm dropping all these F-bombs. Let's talk about Final Fantasy VII. Do you like it?
I do. I
Is that because you're a big softie and likes things?
No, I mean yes, but but I thought what I wanted was an exact replica of the game ported into a new engine. Like all these years that I was envisioning a Final Fantasy remake and what that would look like it was just the exact same game in a new engine, but they've put in so much additional content that I find that I enjoy that, and I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I also love that they have like a story-driven mode of gameplay, or it's the way they call it classic, where even if you don't like the new sort of, and I call it Kingdom Hearts gameplay, but because that just immediately you have an idea in your head as what it looks like, but that like modern Final Fantasy feel, it does have a modern Final Fantasy feel, but if you don't want it to, they still have sort of a hybrid gameplay version where it sort of like does the manual attacks and blocks for you, and you're just looking at your ATB meter. And I really, really like that. And they do that, they make that accessible without shaming you. It's not like the easy mode or whatever.
Though if you play in Classic, it does default to easy.
It does, yeah. But it's not like, and then they don't, like, to my knowledge anyway, they're not like jipping you out of gameplay for, because you're playing on easy.
No, I don't think so. Where they'll get you is the trophies, like, ooh, should have played it on hard. But no, I think Classic mode has been maligned a bit just because they said it'll be like playing a classic RPG. And it's not. It's a different experience, so don't expect that this is the RPG experience of old if you throw it into Classic mode. Calling it Classic mode is actually, I think, really a bad idea because it's not Classic at all.
Yeah.
That's totally false. It's story mode, which
Right.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine with that having. Like, you're looking for a more narrative-driven experience. I talk about that all the time. I'm here for the narratives. That's why I grew up loving RPGs. I don't necessarily need a game to be hard to like it. I'm not Tyler over here. I'm not a masochist. I'm not like, how hard is this game? Oh, it's not hard. I don't like it. Not that that's not an impression of Tyler. That's general people in general, the Dark Souls crowd who talk about, oh, you don't play Dark Souls, and, you get that kind of mumbling. But I will say there are some changes that I'm fine with, and some that I'm less inclined to like. It is not Final Fantasy VII of old. It is as if they made Final Fantasy VII today under the current structure of what people expect out of games. So it's not like you're bound to Midgar in the first one. By the way, they're breaking it into a bunch of parts. So, and Midgar in the original 2 was completely like, not completely, but pretty linear. You were pretty much on a rail until you got out of Midgar. So I don't want to fault it too much for feeling like it's on rails, but it is very much like on a rail. You don't do too much exploration. There are rooms to find things, but I don't love the battle system, and I'm not playing on Classic. I'm playing on their new. I don't love the way magic is handled and items are handled in that. I find that because I'm looking for more of an RPG experience, like I don't get to feel like a wizard when I have to attack before I can cast magic. I don't like that. To be fair though, I mean, it's not that I'm not enjoying the game because it's beautiful. Like what they've done is beautiful, and they made a bunch of stuff that, you know, was just, if you look at Final Fantasy VII, there was some like really cool visuals back in the time, but if you look at it today, especially on a big TV, it is ugly. Ugly, became a super ugly game except for like a few of the like cutscenes. It's like a super ugly game. Like Cloud is just like basically like 7 blocks on top of each other. It's terrible. But this game is a beautiful game. Like it, you know, also they made this game super thirsty. Like, and if you guys don't know what that means, it's like horny and desperate.
Yes, they did.
So I don't know everybody in that game except for Cloud, who's doing the super aloof thing, is just like, oh my God, if only we could bang. And you're just like, what is happening right now?
They took the fan implied thirstiness that existed in the original Final Fantasy VII, and then they made it canon. Right?
Yeah, they dialed it from 1 to anime.
Yeah, like everyone in their head was having like Cloud and Tifa bang, right, originally.
Yeah.
But then they went ahead and like made Cloud kind of thirsty for her.
Yeah, and just everybody in general is just like, man, there's so many, it's like you know, so many people are on Cloud's jock. It's amazing how highly everyone thinks of Cloud.
Yeah.
So that I found like a little, like, it's fine, but there's some awkwardness in that sometimes, and I don't really care. It's not like a game being a little sexually oriented is off-putting to me, or Tifa being in a really skimpy outfit the whole time is like weird for me. I just the way it was executed from what I was expecting was what I found awkward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VII is a game, like I talked about, I had the worst possible expectations going into this, so getting something I'm enjoying is a good thing for me. So I don't want to like poo-poo it too much, you know, like I'm hating what they've done or anything. It's just, you have to be open-minded though about the experience you are going to get, because it might not be what you're expecting. And as long as you can do that, I think there's a lot to enjoy about this game in a very modern take. And like I said, just the visuals and everything are pretty amazing. So that's my take on Final Fantasy VII. Though there are things that like lean too long. Like, have you been through? You're almost done. I just got through the train yard.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that was a slog. The train yard was a slog, and you'd think like an area, and that's like new content too, which is one of the things I like, that like all this new content is in there. But yeah, it's that part was the first time I found myself going like, can I be done with this part now? Can I be done? Can I finish? That's all I got. Final Fantasy VII, pretty good. Thumbs up so far. All right. I figured, hey, we very rarely get to talk about what we're playing in any kind of detail, especially when it's of the hive mind, because normally I'm not playing anything current. But I had some serious insomnia, so I got to put some hours in. You know what?
I know when we were talking about that, I was sad because when I was talking about getting it, you were like, "Yeah, there's no way in hell that I'm going to get to play this." So when I saw you were playing it, I was very excited for you.
Yeah, it was. You know, between work and watching JD all night and all day, and Carly working nights and working more at the hospital right now, time is pretty limited. So, yeah, thank you, insomnia, I guess. It did make me wish I was playing it on the Switch though, so I could lay in bed with it. That's like the first time I've felt that way about Final Fantasy VII. I was just like, oh God, maybe I should just. So like I have to watch him on the baby monitor and make sure he's okay and stuff, and kind of splits my focus a little bit. But yeah, got to play it. Tyler's off asleep right now or something. It's so late for him. He's like, I don't care about this game. I'm not playing it. Move on, guys. Can we be done?
Well, are we still recording?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, we sure are.
You guys were talking about anime porn, I think?
Yeah, Final Fantasy
Something?
VII. Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Okay.
Let's end it. Jesus.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, where can we find you?
Instagram, Video Game Sage, YouTube. Default Gen, Default GEN. and I'm not posting on forums. I think I figured out why. I think I do all my posting on forums at work because I have like 4 monitors and I always have a forum up on one of the monitors. And since I don't have multiple monitors at home, I don't do it anymore.
Nice.
So hopefully coronavirus ends soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Stefan?
I am on Instagram and Video Game Sage and YouTube as Archon1981, ARCHON 1981. I'm also on Twitter as Art of NP, stands for Art of Nintendo Power. If you just search for Art of Nintendo Power, you'll find it.
And I'm Johnny_Iucci. That's JOHNNY_IUCCI. And you can find me on Instagram. Video Game Sage, you could reach out to me there, but probably better to do it here. Facebook, occasionally, if you are messaging it, that is usually me you're getting. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it for the show. We have talked about putting a Discord channel out. Maybe we will do that. The poll came back very favorable, guys. So that might be something we look into. So if you're a big fan of that idea, let us know more and let me know how you use Discord and how. Like, I need to know what people's expectations are there before we go full force on that. But I might do a mini test run with some of our biggest fans, like me and Stefan and Tyler only, our biggest fans.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
Yeah. All right. So that's
My
it.
mom.
Yeah,
she'll join.
Your mom can be in the Discord anytime. She can guest host if she wants. Just so you know, it's open. All right, everyone. That's it for the show. It's super long. Bye.